In this next Killer Sites video tutorial, we're going to be looking at the differences between movie clips and graphic symbols. Well, as you know, both of these are types of symbols, the movie clip symbol and the graphic symbol, and we will see the differences when we actually select an object and we attempt to convert it into a symbol by saying modify and convert to symbol. Shortcut is F8. You'll notice that here I'm going to write SQ movie clip. There we go. And at this point, if we were to look inside of our library, we would see the SQ symbol written here as a movie clip symbol. Well, one of the main reasons we use movie clip symbols, as I've mentioned already, is number one, because we want it to have a looping element inside of it, or in other words, an animation inside of an animation. If you do, then it's best to create that loop with a movie clip symbol. So as you can see, when I select this, my properties window, it says that this is an instance of a movie clip. That's great. Also notice something else. I can give this movie clip something called an instance name. Now, that's not all that important right now, but eventually, especially when you start playing with some ActionScript, eventually you're going to need to be able to communicate with these movie clips. So first and foremost, in and of itself, that's the main reason you'd probably want to use a movie clip. However, as I mentioned, there's also a difference between creating something with a movie clip that has an animation inside of it, or something like a graphic symbol that has an animation inside of it. And let me explain how that works. So if I were to double click this, and as you can see inside of the movie clip symbol called square, or SQ, as I have it here, what I see is just one frame of animation. However, if I were to go to frame 2 and I were to say insert keyframe, I could take this information just by double clicking it here. I can select all of the object inside of it, and I could switch to my free transform tool, and I could just rotate this something like this. So in other words, on the first frame we have this, second frame we have that. If I were to go back to scene 1, you can see, number one, first and foremost, that we only have one frame here on scene 1. So I'll call this the MC, or movie clip layer. And when we double clicked it to go inside the movie clip, we saw that there was 2 frames instead. So if I were to Control Enter, test my movie, exporting the SWF, we would see that we have this very simple style of animation happening inside here. On the other hand, when we're working with graphic symbols, the animation will look a little bit different. Let me show you what I mean. If I come to the library and I see SQ for square, I'm going to duplicate this object. But notice when you duplicate it, instead of square copy, I'll call it square graphic. And I'll convert that movie clip type into a graphic type. Alright, well, they're both exactly the same and they both look exactly the same. And if I were to take this object, and actually let me swap those around just because my layers look a little different. I'll say my bottom layer is the movie clip layer, and layer 2 is the graphic layer. So in my properties window, should be able to see that this is the graphic. So I will take the graphic symbol, I'll cut it from its current layer, and I will paste it, Control Shift V, back into its original layer. So this is the movie clip, this is the graphic symbol. Right now, the graphic symbol, as you can see, also contains 2 keyframes. That's great, right? So when we press Control Enter, we would imagine that both of these things would be animating, but it doesn't work that way. And the reason is because on the main timeline, I only have 1 keyframe. But inside the movie clip and inside the graphic symbol, I have 2 keyframes. So what that shows us, what that illustrates to us, is that I could have 1,000,000 keyframes inside of a movie clip, and if on the main stage it only was visible for 1 frame, I would see all of the animation. Wouldn't matter. But if you are working with an animation in a graphic symbol, not really the best way to do it, because as you can see here, in order to view all of those keyframes, I would have to create as many keyframes as is inside the graphic symbol. So for example, if I were to come here and stretch both these out and say insert frame, Control Enter to test your movie, oh, everything looks great, they're both moving. But remember, if I were to only have one keyframe, so I'll remove those frames. Because there's only one keyframe, we only see the first keyframe inside of your particular object, in this case the graphic symbol. But the movie clip symbol shows as many frames as you wish.